Welcome back, valued viewers. I hope you're all doing very well. So if you remember where we left off, we've pretty much dealt with the rear, which is nice, and that's all primed. The middle all dealt with and primed, ready for sealing and painting. I've started on the front now, run into a spot of bother, and the rust sections that I'd spotted earlier were worse than I thought. What it turned out to be is obviously you have the chassis rails of the car, one rail, two rails over there, and there's some cross members, and that's all the strength of the car. The rest of the car doesn't actually offer any strength really, it's just, you know, to keep the rain off you. So these are absolutely critical, and what Mazda did to strengthen the front section from about there to about there is double ply it, so 2 layers of steel rather than 1 layer of steel to make it stronger. Unfortunately, as soon as you put 2 layers of steel next to each other, then the first thing it does is attract moisture, and that moisture will never really leave, and it rusts from the inside out. And so these areas here had gone completely rusty. What it looked like before it was taken out, maybe you can't see it, you probably can't see it, but look in there, you can see it bulging. Once it starts to bulge, it's gone. That's literally paint holding that together. And what it looks like out of interest, like this, is just some bits that got off. So that would have been the top layer, completely gone through. The bottom layer had completely gone through, almost gone through. So it's unsalvageable. Obviously, it needs new steel, and it needs to be strong as well because it's a structural section. So I'm going to cut pieces to size and do my best to continuous weld that in and make it as strong as possible. I have to remove some brackets and stuff by cutting them out, but that's okay. We can get that back together. Unfortunately, some mounting points have had to go as well because they were in the rusty section, so I'll have to make my own mounting points, but fingers crossed that'll be okay. The rest of it from there on back seems okay. I mean, rust is starting, which is inevitable, but it's not bulging yet, it's not, the layers aren't separating, so I think they're going to be okay. Yeah, so that's it, let's crack on with this side. Welcome back, viewers, getting there slowly and painfully. So 2 patches are done. That patch is done, it was around there. That patch is done, that was around there. It's the first time I've welded upside down, and it's bloody impossible. I mean, this was a side weld, and so I've done it. I've not quite finished it yet, but that, you know, that was okay. You could run a bead around, you know, moderately easily. But the underside weld, I don't know if you can see it, it's down here somewhere. It's just impossible, because as soon as you got a bead of weld, oh, look at that big gap, bollocks. As soon as you get a bead of weld going, it just drops straight off onto the torch and just kills the torch. Oh, you know, the wand. So you just can't get anywhere, and if you do get a bead going, you can't get it to penetrate at all, and I need to penetrate, you know, whatever that is, 3 mil, otherwise what's the point? So I'm zero confidence. I reckon if I pushed it hard enough, I could probably break those welds, because it's just, it cannot get any penetration in it, and like I said, as soon as you turn it up, it just all spatters down. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Probably have to take that patch off and start again. This one, I can get this one here, I'll be able to sort of get from the side, because I can sort of side weld that. Then I've got to go underneath. God knows how I do that bit there, no idea at all. Yeah, so let me know what you think. Some of you guys might have done, you know, underside welding, and yeah, that's a tough one. So, alright, I'm going to go cut a patch for this anyway. Welcome back, viewers. A few hours later. It was a bit of a bitch. I mean, welding's, you know, moderately easy or doable, but it was really difficult to do because access, well, it's the first time I've welded, you know, above my head, and that brings its own challenges. It's quite unpleasant, I find, and difficult. But also, you know, with all this gumph here, you just cannot get into the angles that you want. So that was incredibly difficult. So the patch there is done. Still hot. The patch, wherever it was there, is done. The big patch is done. It was a real bitch because I just could not cut a patch that fit properly. So there was always a gap of, you know, 1/4 of an inch everywhere, and it was too much to bridge with the weld. So I was cutting shims and trying to get shims in, and you know, if you looked in the grunt there and looked down, you'd see a bunch of shims sticking out, all kinds of nasty crap in there. But it's done. And I just went for heat penetration because it's strong, it needs to be strong, so that's strong, you know, probably not as strong as the original element, but I think it's going to be good enough, so I'm happy. It's not pretty, obviously, you know, it's all bumpy and nasty, and you can see it's been welded, but, you know, who cares, right? You know. Also, the back weld, I had to weld all the way along here, it's still hot as well. Now that was impossible to get to, so I've cleaned it up as best I can, but I just went for the idea of just chuck as much metal on as I could. And if you look at it from inside, you know, it's just raw welding there, basically. Sorry, from that, you know, from that direction, because obviously I can't get in there to clean it up. So one day, if the engine ever comes out, I'll have to clean it up that way. I've got a couple of tiny little holes still that I've missed, so I'll go and quickly spot weld those and do that. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with it, actually. I didn't, you know, I wasn't confident I could do it. Ah, another hole there. Whoops. Yep, got to get that sorted. I'm pretty happy it's going to be strong enough. So what I'll do now is I'll clean all this up again, because it's all covered in rubbish and grease again. Degrease it, prime it, and then what I've got to do is prime inside here, because that's all raw metal now inside. It's going to rust within like a year. So what you do now is you put a lance in that side, a lance in that side, and you just absolutely spray it miserably inside, just with wax oil or, you know, whatever your chosen wax or whatever is, just to make sure, you know, it can't rust from the inside, and, you know, more is better in this case, obviously. And then that'll be that. So let's go cracking. Welcome back, viewers. Ta-da! Arch done. It's, again, not the prettiest weld in the world, but it's going to be strong enough, so it'll do for our purposes here. Should last for a while. Otherwise, everything cleaned up, everything degreased, everything primed, and I've just started adding the seam sealer on as well. So yeah, I need to move this back, because I had to cut this through because it doesn't actually bolt on, it's welded on. So I've got to kind of mould that bracket back into position and weld it back on, but otherwise, that's it, ready for undercoat.